very thankful to have Bud McCall with us from Appalachian Navy. Been looking forward to having him with us, and so thankful that they were able to make the trip this morning, and he's going to share with us at this time a little bit about his ministry and what he's doing in the mountain relief. So you would please give Bud a applause, please.
Morning, everybody. First, I'm going to apologize because I'm not a professional speaker. So a year ago, if you asked me what I'd be doing today, it wasn't going to be this. So, as he said, my name's Bud McCall, and I'm a member of the Worthville Wesleyan Church up in Hendersonville. I've gone to Bethel my whole life, 47 years. So. I'm very familiar with the Allred family. I never met Wayne before the natural disaster hit, but his uncle Bob Allred, he was my pastor when I was a kid growing up, and he baptized me when I was 12 years old, and so he was a big part of my life. And my father and uncles used to go on mission trips with Mr. Larry Allred back there, and the whole group the Wesleyan group that used to do the Caribbean mission trips. I was fortunate to go on one of them back in the 90s. And also I was looking at the pictures of the former pastors here, and Mr. John Harris, he was one of our pastors, and my aunt is married to John Harris's son, Kenny. So Mr. Harris was a big part of my life too, growing up. I knew them a long time before they passed away, and it's just a big family with the Wesleyan Church. But the Appalachian Navy, so the Appalachian Navy is mostly me, and I've got a few people that help me were helping me on a regular basis when I was doing that full-fledged every week. I've got people that, if you watch my videos, you'll hear about Brother Phil Tittle. He just showed up. I was a little reluctant on who to trust and who are these people wanting to help me, and he kind of pushed himself, out there in the open with me, and he started making runs for me, and he for a while he was doing it more than I was, because I had to go back to work. So he's been a big help. Members of the church, Brother Billy Jackson, he's the one, we talk about the propane, providing propane for people. He's the one that's been getting all the bottles filled up. But if it wasn't for Midway Wesleyan and Central Global and all the other churches, I don't know all the names, but it wasn't 21 churches that came together and helped us, I wouldn't be doing any of the stuff I've been doing. I mean, we would have just, been like everybody else, just got what we needed, and, everybody just fend for ourselves. But the way the churches came together and all the people came together and brought all those supplies, and we were able to God used us to just fan out to places I'd never been to, I'd never heard of, had no reason to ever go to. We were able to help people hundreds of miles away. We've even been to Kentucky, all over. But so before the storm, I had the same attitude as everybody else up in the mountains. We hear about hurricanes coming, and we're like, it's going to rain, and that creek down there always floods, and the south end of town the road always gets underwater, but it ain't nothing different. And it rained for, I think it was something like 3 days. It rained pretty good before the hurricane came, and everybody's seen the satellite images and the weather reports of what really happened. And the night of the storm, I actually slept through the whole thing. I remember getting up one time because there's a big oak tree out by my driveway. I just knew it was going to be laying on my truck when I woke up, but it's still standing. So I got up and looked at it one time, but the wind was blowing and there was lightning and all that. And then I remember about 6:30 in the morning, the power started flickering and it went off, and then it come back on, then it went off again, then it came back on, then it went off for 20 minutes, then it came back on again, and then it just went off and it was out for 2.5 weeks. So we got up, and of course everybody's mingling out of their houses, and my whole family lives right there with me, so we're checking on my mom and dad, and he's checking on us, and my brother, he lives down there below us, and you can see, I'm like Wayne, I live within eyesight of Bethel Wesleyan Church, so I just look out my front door and there's the church, and up the road, all you saw was just trees, power lines, power poles snapped in half, stuff laying everywhere, and I said, well, we're not gonna have power for a while. So we actually, my grandparents, they're in their 90s. My grandmother, she just passed away in January. She was 94, but my grandfather, he'll be 97 in August, but they lived together on the other side of town, and my mom was worried about them, wanting to check on them. Well, we couldn't get there because within a mile of every direction leaving our house, you were either blocked by downed trees and power lines, the road was underwater, or something like that. And another big issue was I-26 between Hendersonville and Asheboro, in about 3 different places had flooded. So the GPS was diverting all the tractor trailer trucks onto the secondary roads, and then here they come and they hit power lines and trees, and they're just sitting there. So for like 3 days, there's tractor trailer trucks just sitting on the road. They can't go nowhere till somebody comes and clears it for them. And it was just a big gone. So we were stuck at home for at least 2 or 3 days. And I remember, so that was Thursday. By Saturday night, I saw the power come on at the church, and Pastor Tim's power come on, and actually the house in front of me, which is directly across the street from the church, their power come on, and we're like, oh yay, the power's coming on. And I remember Duke Energy driving up the driveway saying, we're gonna walk back here and look at something, and if everything's good, we're gonna cut your power back on. And so he went back there, and he came back, and they drove off, and it was like almost 2 weeks later before our power came back on. So we learned not to get our hopes up. But when we finally could get out, and this was in Hendersonville, which was hit fairly hard, but not near as hard as what we would find. You know, Hendersonville had the 3rd highest death toll. I think it got up to 13. When we were able to get to my grandparents, they had never lost power, and they didn't even know what had happened. So they still didn't know. My grandfather still don't realize how severe it was, and my mom never told him. But we got them taken care of, and I went by work and started checking on that. And where I work for a company called Kimberly-Clark. We make Huggies diapers, Depends, and Kleenex, and all that stuff. Well, of course, everything's in the dark over there, and we went back to work, and we were without power and utilities, city water and everything for about 2 weeks. So we just sat there in the dark and started trying to get our schedule back together and going. And I think the first church I remember bringing a load of supplies was McCaddenville Wesleyan. They brought a couple of truckloads of water and food, and that was just a few days. Pastor Tim, we had been down there a couple times talking to them and checking on things, and he told us that he had heard from them and they were coming. So we got that unloaded, and more churches started coming, and I think that's when Wayne had started contacting Tim and getting all that put together with the Operation Mountain Relief. And we were just working in our own church family, making sure everybody had what they needed and that they were, everybody was okay. We had, I think it was 5 or 6 families in our church that got on the program. I don't think we had anybody actually lose their home in the church, but we had some with a lot of tree damage. I know one couple in particular, I think they had like 6 or 7 trees fall through their house. And we had one family that, I don't know if they're back in their house or not, and we didn't realize they had the damage they had. They didn't say anything about it. And we were good ways into the Helping Hands program, and somebody said, what about them? And that's when we got them on the program too. But anyway, when we finally got everybody taken care of, situated, that we thought everybody was good, I just started, I was just playing around on Facebook and all that stuff. And a girl that I went to high school with in Hendersonville, she lives in Burnsville now. And I saw a message from her, oh, we need this and that and that and this. And I had heard rumors of how bad things were up in that area, but I'd only ever been to Burnsville one time in my life, and there's not really a reason to go there if you don't have a specific purpose. But I reached out to her and I said, well, we've got all this stuff, I'm willing to come see you. And her name's Christina, and she was actually on one of Wayne's videos. It was the day that Midway came to Bethel with all those supplies, and he did a video with me and her out in the yard. But I met her, and where I met her, you had to drive through Burnsville, and just driving through Burnsville, you wouldn't notice anything. It looks normal, but once you get past it, and where she lives is called Micahville, and once you got down there, I met her where she worked. It was just a small factory. It was called Taylor Tugs. I don't even know what they did, but that place was just destroyed. I mean, there was a huge water tower laying on. You may have seen pictures on it. It was a pretty famous picture. But that was one of the first times I'd seen real devastation. And then I started taking bottled water to Swannanoa, and everybody's heard the Swannanoa stuff. And the first time I went to Swannanoa was about a week after the storm. And when you got off the exit at the Billy Graham exit, and you went by the Harley dealership, and you got down in there, the whole 4-lane was just covered in mud. People were just standing around. That was one image that I've never lost, was people standing on the sidewalks like they were just didn't know what to do. They were just glaring out into space. They just had a look on their face like, what's next? And there was a gas station, it was a BP gas station. There were just piles of clothes on the ground, on like where the gas pumps are, and people were just digging through it, looking for clothes to wear. And they were grilling food out on the sidewalks, and there's just dust in the air. It was just real nasty. And that's one thing I remember is the dust. Once that mud started driving out and all these trucks and cars driving around, it just started kicking up clouds of dust everywhere, and everybody's breathing it. And then you had all the gasoline and oil and whatever come from these factories that were up there that was in the water and from farms, and it was all in that mud. And then people were getting sick. And so I've got in some of my early videos when I'm running around, you can see in my videos when I'm at the river, I'll start coughing. And that's what it would do to you. You'd get up there and you just start coughing and start affecting your breathing. Some of those factories up there, they didn't talk about them. There's one that makes the chips for guided missiles for the military. There's a lot of chemical plants that are up there that got hit, and just the sewage treatment plants got flooded and damaged, and they had no choice but to just dump it in the river. And I know the one in Harrisonville dumped in the river for 2 weeks. Just went in the river, and it went to Tennessee. So it was just a really bad situation in the very beginning. Now the relief stuff, we started getting a full gym, and I was taking stuff to Swannanoa, and I met Christina in Burnsville a couple of times, and a girl, I've done a couple of videos with her. Her name's Grace. I'd never met her. It was on the it was either Burnsville or Spruce Pine Facebook. And you can scroll those pictures, by the way, if you want. Just click on them. She put a post on there that said, "Can anyone help my in-laws neighborhood? They need supplies, they don't have anything, they're really cut off." And I said, I just took a chance and I messaged her. I didn't know who she was. And I said, "We have supplies. How can I help you?" And she sent me this list of stuff. I said, "Well, we got it." I said, "Where do you want me to meet?" So I met her in Spruce Pine, and I followed her and her mother from Spruce Pine all the way up Highway 19 through Avery County, almost to Banner Elk, and saw all kinds of stuff. In her community, I'd never seen anything like it. The whole place was just houses washed off the foundation, and they were all meeting in a little church. They didn't have any grocery store. So up there in Avery County, there's one Ingles. The Ingles got flooded, and the closest grocery store was almost an hour away, which was the Walmart in Spruce Pine, because their Ingles got destroyed. Or you could go all the way to Boone, which was like another 45 minutes the other direction. So for most of those people up there, they're not able to get out very well. They're pretty low income in Avery County. So they were struggling really bad. And we took several trips to there. That was the first relief center I actually supported. And when I started doing it, a girl I work with in Hendersonville, she said, "You need to meet my brother." And the picture a minute ago of Bristol Motor Speedway, I said, "Who's your brother?" And he is the director of operations at Bristol Motor Speedway. And they had a huge relief center there. And the whole racetrack, the whole inside of the thing was full of everything. And I went up there and they just loaded me up. I made 3 or 4 trips up there. Whatever I wanted, they just loaded it. And so that was a blessing. And then Midway came up with Operation Mountain Relief, Midway, and the other churches, Central Global, when y'all made that big trip with the tractor trailer. That was I don't remember who all was there. There's some familiar faces in here that I remember, but that was a crazy day. That took our fellowship hall from full to busting at the seams with stuff. And then I know a lot of you were here were on our little bus trip to see some damage. So we did a little tour in Hendersonville, and which, by the way, is still messed up. So that we went by a mobile home park in Hendersonville that was, I think 7 people died there. And all those mobile homes are still, to this day, on their upside down, busted in half in the woods. They haven't been cleaned up yet. Businesses in Hendersonville are still shut down. The south end of town, the Harris Teeter got 9 feet of water in it. And it's supposed to open next month, or this month, I think. And the McDonald's just opened last month. So stuff is still in the works, just where we live. But on that bus trip, we went through Hendersonville, and then we went all the way up to Swannanoa, and that was kind of my plan. And a gentleman I know who was instrumental in helping people in the Big Hungry area, which is just a few minutes from the church, where a dam broke, washed the bridge out, and it's a very small mountain community back in there that was completely cut off. People were sending stuff by zip line across the river. He dug a road with his bulldozer from the next dirt road about 8 miles up across the mountains to that road, so people it's basically an ATV trail. He told me that I could take that bus to Bat Cave, that the road, he had helped dig the road, and we could do it. And I said, "Well, Wayne, if you want to drive, we can go." So it was okay. It turned out all right. There was we all had to get on one side of the bus a couple of times, because the road, I'm telling you, you had half a road and then it was nothing. A lot of places along the river, it was just gone. So, and there was one point where they had diverted traffic through somebody's front yard because there was no road left. And Bat Cave is still like that. There's been a lot of work done in Bat Cave and Chimney Rock, but it is still like it was. Pretty much, you've been down there more than I have. Because you can't even, if you don't have business being down there, they'll write you a ticket now. And that's one area that I haven't been able to do a lot of work. I've taken a couple of loads of propane, but I told, the people have my number, and they said they'd call me if they needed me, and they never called me, so the Lord didn't use me there. I felt bad about it because it's only 15 minutes from my house instead of an hour and a half to Burnsville. But that's just not where he used me. But after the Avery County stuff, I started searching those Facebook pages more, and I started meeting more people. Every time I would go up there, I'd meet more people. This community needs help, that community needs help. I started connecting with these relief centers that were popping up, and if you watch my videos or Wayne's, you're familiar with some of them. Some of them were inspired to start because of Wayne's videos or my videos. The Christ Baptist Relief Center, those are the people that I met in Spruce Pine and went to Avery County. They started their own relief center. Cry, which is my MVP relief center. Everybody knows Colton and Cody. They started, I met their friend Chris in Spruce Pine. We were meeting, is when I first connected with Alyssa at Rising Light Relief in Bakersville. We were in Spruce Pine meeting some of her volunteers, giving them buddy heaters, propane, whatever I had on the truck, I can't remember. But this boy drives up in the parking lot he was driving an SUV, pulling a trailer, and he said been driving around for 4 hours looking for propane. And I said, well, I've got it right here. And I gave him some propane. He started crying, he hugged me, and blah, blah, blah. And I connected with him, and we met him a couple more times. His house was washed away. He lived down in Relief, North Carolina. That's where one of the places they filmed the 60 Minutes episode. That place was completely shut off. And he contacted me and said that him and his buddy Colton were going to start a relief center in Bakersville at the old Red Hill hardware store. Could I help them stock their relief center? I said, yeah, that'd be a great place to, get some of these donations and supplies, get it up there. So we started making trips up there, and we filled that place up, and they couldn't keep enough stuff. I mean, people were just coming in there asking for help, and they're still a main food source and supply source for that area, because they are what's the phrase, very food, I don't know the right term. Yeah, food insecure, because Bakersville is the county seat for Mitchell County, but there's no grocery store. It's 45 minutes from Bakersville to Spruce Pine, where the Walmart is, or it's another 45 minutes to the Ingalls in Burnsville, and that's it. Or there's like a Dollar General that's in Buladine, which is up past Bakersville, and other than that, they're relying on these relief centers for small things. They don't have the big groceries. They got canned goods. Sometimes they're working with these national food groups that brings in produce and hot meals sometimes, and that's a big help for a lot of these people. Now when I go up there, it's usually a 200-mile trip, round trip from my house before I get back home. It's a good 200 miles. Because those counties, Yancey County, Mitchell County, Avery County, which is my main three that I've been helping, are so rural and spread out that it's so remote in some of those places that it just takes a long time to get anywhere. The other relief centers I'm supporting are Bald Creek, which is a big one. It's right there in Burnsville. And you go from there to B-Log. People are familiar with B-Log. All these are in old elementary schools, and that's where they get their name. There was Bald Creek Elementary, B-Log Elementary, and they're these old, tiny rock buildings that were schools up until a year or so ago. And they're just cold, dark buildings. But to get from B-Log to Cry, it's 10 or 15 miles along the river, and it's just like this. It takes an hour to get there. It's just so hard to drive. If you've ever been with me on a trip, I know some of you have been with me, in the beginning it was rough. It was, I think there was a picture a minute ago of my truck. I have a white truck and it was brown. You were just driving through mud, dirt roads, but now they're all paved. Most of them are paved. I think about 90% of them are paved. The only ones now that aren't paved are along the railroad where they're working, because the railroad's still under reconstruction. So that helped a lot when the roads got paved. I mean, you could really just move down through there. But going down 19W, I'd never seen anything like that. It was just, there are places where the river is half as wide as this church, or was half as wide as this church, and about 2 foot deep. And now it's every bit of the width of this church or more. And you can still see where the water got every bit, places 50 to 100 foot deep, and in some places 300 to 400 foot wide going down through there. And that was the main driver for the destruction. Not to belittle areas, you hear a lot about flooding along the coast and low-lying areas that flood all the time, and it kind of gets to be, old news. But up there, the water got deep, but it was moving really fast. It's hard to say how fast the water was moving. I talked to a gentleman, he runs the O.C. Whitson's General Store, which was on 60 Minutes as well. He said there was a highway patrolman there with him when the flooding was going on, and they clocked a tree going down the river at 70 miles an hour. Now, I don't know if that's completely accurate, but I know it was moving. But he said he saw houses just flying by, cars flying by, trees flying by, and that's the big thing is, if you Google Earth, these areas before the storm, it's a very wooded, green, mountain river road, and now it looks like a canyon. You go up there, there's no trees, there's no grass, it's just dirt and water and rock. And it completely changed the landscape. You see landslides everywhere where the mountains just gave way and the dirt come crashing down. And where it all ended up, I don't know. It didn't end up in the river. There's piles and piles of sand, rock everywhere that has not been completely searched. There's one island, I call it an island, it's in Relief, North Carolina, where the river splits and goes around it. There is at least 15 to 20 foot of sand, and on top of it is another 20 foot of just mangled trees on top of it. So it's just a big mess. There's cars in there, there's pieces of houses, buildings, all just tangled in that mess. So what that water was able to do was just very eye-opening. It took concrete highway bridges, broke them in 4 pieces and took them down the river. Some of them survived. Some of them, it's amazing that they did survive. They were just right in the path, like in the curve of the river, and there'll be a bridge there, and you drive across, and it's damaged and broke up pretty bad, but some of them that you would think might survive got washed away, so you just didn't know what it was gonna do. The railroad, the pieces of the railroad I've seen, the land was gone, the tracks were in the river. It was just a big mess, so the railroad has had to completely rebuild the land one dump truck load at a time, all the way down through there, and they're almost done. The railroad that goes from Asheville to Knoxville is done, and there are actually trains going through there now. But the Clinchfield Railroad that goes from up in Virginia and comes down through Spruce Pine and back in there and goes and meets up and goes to Knoxville, that's what they're still working on. It was damaged really bad. But they do have a train that's going part of it. I think they've gotten to where they can get the train to help bring materials in. But that last section going down the Nolichucky River through Tennessee is where they're at. But the ministry is reached out across the country, across the world. I remember, so she's not here, but Holly, who helps us with the Amazon gift registries, that has been a major help. It really took a lot of load off of me and the other people at the church, where instead of them completely relying on me to bring them some stuff, we set up an Amazon list and it got delivered straight to them. So that's helped tremendously. We were able to reach a lot more people than we could have ever reached just on my own. But we noticed we got donations from people in South America, from Europe, all over the place. And I don't know who the person is, but there is somebody from California that once a week buys stuff for Cry. I know just a month ago they paid for a generator and a pallet of pot and soil to be sent to them, and that's tremendous to me for somebody all the way across the country to be sending. That's expensive stuff to be sending to people they've never met or probably never will meet. But that's just the kind of thing that's been happening. And I'm still meeting people. I've got some new supporters in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was traveling with work and I was in Mobile, Alabama. I've done a couple of videos down there in Mobile, but I was at the site, and a gentleman that was in there, we have to go around the room and introduce ourselves and all this stuff. And it took a couple of days. He kept looking at me, and like the next day, he says, "I know you from somewhere." And I started telling him what I do, and he had been watching my videos and knew all about it. And we worked for the same company. So, and his manager used to be my man. He was our manager a few months before the storm, and they transferred him to Oklahoma anyway. But, we got to talking about that, but now he's on my videos, and he's sending support now, and he's spreading the word in Tulsa, Oklahoma to everybody he knows, and it's still growing. People are still supporting us, and one thing I commented on was the amount of support we got and the way people helped each other was very unique. There was people from, I made my name up from the Cajun Navy. A lot of people's heard of the Cajun Navy. It's they're a big group. They're not Samaritan's Purse size, but they're a big deal. They go around and help in all these disaster areas, and they came I think they got formed out of Hurricane Katrina down there in Louisiana. And a lot of people I met that work with the Cajun Navy said, "This is amazing how people have taken care of one another, looked out for their neighbors, or people like y'all that are a good ways away have sent support." He said down there after Katrina, it was like everybody for themselves, and nobody, very few people helped anybody, and everybody was on their own. And they still have problems down there from that, but it was very unique and very inspiring how everybody, wanted to check on their neighbor. And even today, people that need help wouldn't ask for it. You drive up, the couple in our church that had the 7 trees, we about had to take the money and put it in their pockets because they didn't want it. They said somebody else might need it more than we do. And so you had to, in some cases, about force yourself on people. You knew they desperately needed the help, but they were just not gonna ask for it because they didn't feel like, you know, this family over here is probably worse off than I am. But, and there's a lot of families that I never helped. There's so many people that I didn't reach, but you know, I can only reach so many. So the people that God put in my path, we were able to do a lot for them, and I think it was amazing. And you know, I've made mistakes myself. There were a lot of learnings in the beginning. How, you know, we found out how there were some people that prey on this kind of thing. You know, they come take advantage and get what they can, and you know, lie, cheat, and steal. You know, taking stuff from other people. And we figured that out real quick. So there was a lot of learnings there, and you know, I felt bad a couple of months ago. The cell phones went nuts after the storm, and it's still not exactly right. I was telling Wayne, I can be in Hendersonville, I want to send somebody a picture with my phone, and it will sit there and just, sometimes it'll go right through, and sometimes it takes forever to upload and send, but then you can go down to Greenville, South Carolina, and it's just instantaneous. So the network is still kind of weird up there. But, you know, I use Facebook and these social media networks to reach out to people and help. And all of a sudden on my instant messenger, all of a sudden got all these messages that were old. I mean, from back in October, all these people reaching out to me for help, and I never responded at all. But I never got their messages till like April. So I was reading them, and then I responded to every one of them, and some of them replied back and said, "Thank you very much, we're okay," and stuff. I just felt terrible that these people had reached out to me and I never got their message. But there's just so many people that you ride through there, and it's just overwhelming. You know, I could stop and help these people. Like you couldn't get a mile down the road and, you know, run out of resources. So we just focused on who was put in our path, and you know, went from there. And like I said, there were so many people that reached out to us and started their own relief efforts because of our efforts and your efforts. And it was just like, I heard somebody on another YouTube channel say it was like rabbit trails. Just, you know, we go this way and then somebody go that way, and then, you know, you reach so many people. It's all starting from one group, and I think this church was very instrumental in starting all that, and we wouldn't be able to do any of it without you. If we can, I wanted to play just a few of my YouTube videos to show you just the highlights of some of the groups I've been helping. Now this is that first camp community up in Avery County, and this gentleman is one of the families that the Helping Hands has been supporting, and that's his house behind it. So if you see in the background, there's a guardrail. The river was about 5 or so feet above that guardrail on the far bank, and about as far that way the other direction. His house was right in the middle of it.
Hey folks, this is Appalachian Navy again. I'm here with Greg. We're up in Curtis Creek. I've done a couple of videos up here already, but this gentleman's house is right by what kind of church is it?
It's Eaton Christian Church.
Eaton Christian Church. And so tell us about what you were telling me a minute ago about, you know, the day of the flooding and what was going on?
Well, I actually over at facilities at Lee's McRae College. So we watched the weather. We knew it was going to be a bad storm, and I had gotten up early at 5:30 to go in and check things at work because I intended on being home during the bad part of the storm, which was supposed to have been about 9:30 or 10 o'clock. And I made it just a few miles up the road, and I've been here my entire life, and I can't say I'd ever seen the river moving that fast, and at that point it wasn't even very high yet. And so I came back home, we got the family up, and took them up the road to some of my wife's family's house. And my wife and I came back down to grab a few things out of the house, and in the next 20 minutes we couldn't even get back up the road. And then by 7:30, 8 o'clock, the water here was already higher than had ever been in my lifetime and even my grandparents' lifetime. I mean, this property's been in the family since the late 1800s. They were here in the 14 flood. They was here in the 40 flood, Hugo, Hyven, and water had never touched this house or the property like it did. And then so by the time the back part of the storm got here, it's just everything was swallowed. It's unbelievable.
And you said your family's was right there.
Oh yeah, that was my great grandfather's cellar, which was a full block building. It dates back to about 1870, and we watched it pop up in one piece and take down the driveway at like 40 miles an hour. So I'm not sure where it broke up at.
And so are you getting any kind of assistance?
We're still, FEMA got out, I don't know, 30 days ago at this point, and they kept saying 7 to 10 days. Now they're saying call back in 60 days. We had State Farm insurance, and our policy even covers hurricanes, but this was not a hurricane. This was a flood, so they didn't do anything.
It's whatever they wanted it to be.
Yeah. So, well, I've heard other people say that they had flood insurance, and then it's not a flood, it's an act of God. So they didn't get anything either.
And they have act of God insurance.
Yeah, act of God insurance. You know, if you're hit by a train in the middle of the lake, you know, you might get covered. I don't know. But, so we're still waiting on FEMA, and we're hoping to get enough from FEMA to hopefully pay off this mortgage so we can start over. I am blessed enough that my family has other land on up the road that we can build a new place on, because that's one thing. That's one of the first things my son said here is we don't have to live there again, do we, Dad? So we'll make other plans.
So y'all had the river in front of your house and the river behind your, at one point the whole thing was a river.
It was, I mean, as high as the sidings tore off there, that's how deep the water was through this whole area. So it was totally swallowed the house. So it's a wonder. You can't believe it stood. So it was just a blessing that there would be something to salvage, that it stayed in place. So,
well, folks, if this is what's happening up here, we're up in Avery County. This is Elk Park. What is this?
yes, Elk Park.
Elk Park.
Our little community here has always been called Heaton.
Heaton.
Yeah.
So just, if you'd like to help or get involved, you can contact Deep River Farm, or you can contact me, and my email's in the description, and appreciate you watching.
I know, so he mentioned he was trying to get enough money to pay off his existing mortgage so he could get another mortgage, and I think the Helping Hands program was able to help him pay off that mortgage. So he's been building another house. Me and Wayne are wanting to actually go see him and do another video with him at his new place. So we're gonna work on doing that sometime in the future. This next one, this is
So did he have to destroy his whole house?
he ended up having to tear it down because at that time he was still having to make insurance payments on it. They said as long as a structure is standing, he had to pay insurance on it. And I said, well, he had a skid steer sitting over. I said, I'd take it down right now. And so, but they were trying to salvage pieces from their home that they wanted to put in their new home and all that, so, I actually haven't been up there since December, so I'd like to go see. Hopefully it's not there now, but,
It's gone.
it is. This next video, this is a little church. It's in Green Mountain on the backside of Burnsville. It's called Zion Baptist, and I went by there a few times and I saw that they had a little relief center, and I just pulled in there one day and I met Miss Kay, and she's a really sweet lady, and they've closed up their center now, but I made a lot of trips. This is where all the Bibles went. Not all of them, but a lot of them. This place, I would take, 50 Bibles up on one trip, and the next week, you got any more Bibles? And I'd take 50 more, and you got any more Bibles? And I made truckloads of Bibles up there. Go ahead.
Appalachian Navy again. I'm here with Kay. We're at Zion Baptist Church in Green Mountain. We've been out delivering today to a few locations, mainly heaters and propane with all the cold weather moving in. It's pretty cold right now. It feels colder than it says it is.
It was 13 degrees this morning.
13 degrees. So y'all think about that when people are relying on propane heaters and they're staying in a canvas tent if they're lucky, or a camper. Or if they're really fortunate, they do have their home still, but a lot of them, even in the homes, are relying on these propane heaters and sleeping bags, whatever has been brought up. So, Kay, do you mind telling us, how people are around here,
For the most part, as devastating as it is, people are hopeful. The people around here have a strong faith. They live very close to nature and very close to God. And I talked with a veteran today. He's lost everything in Micahville. Lost his home, his car, his truck. He's 84 years old, and imagine losing everything at the age of 84 and starting all over. He has no idea if they're going to rebuild. He doesn't know what his future holds. But he said God is good, and he knows that God's in control. And when you see that, it's very humbling, and it's very inspiring, and it's heartbreaking at the same time. But the folks here have come together. They work with each other. The hubs here are sharing with each other what one has, the other one can use. People like you and your group, it's been incredible. Y'all brought propane, you've brought the Bibles. The Bibles are really popular, and we just appreciate everything y'all have done. And if it weren't for y'all, we wouldn't have anything. So we thank you so much. We thank everybody. When people come in to our little relief center, they say, oh, I don't want to take this, leave it for somebody who needs it more than we do. And we say, all I can say is, everything you see around you has been donated. It comes from people in America who are saying, we love you, we care about you, we're praying for you, and we won't forget you. So take it in the spirit that it's been given. And they do, and they appreciate it. But they're very proud, and sometimes we almost have to go put it in their car so that they will take it. But this has been the most incredible experience I've ever had, the best and the worst. So we just thank y'all for everything you do and for not forgetting us.
All right, well, it's cold.
It's very cold.
So we're gonna call it, and I appreciate all your support. Please give me if you have the comment or a question, send me an email as usual, and please continue to help if you feel led to. Thank you.
All that traffic you can hear, that church is right on the road, and it's not as bad now, but in the beginning, there were millions of dump trucks up there. I mean, you about get run over by all the dump trucks running around hauling gravel and dirt and stuff, so that's what you would hear when you try to make a video right on the road. It was just dump trucks just flying by all the time. Now this one is in Burnsville as well. It's on the other side of Burnsville. It's in an area called Pensacola that was hit really hard. Now this lady is not on the river. She's up on the mountain. And her house, there were some pictures in the slideshow. The whole mountain come down behind her and hit her house. Her house used to stand right behind where we're standing, and it knocked it 50 feet, and she was in there. It threw her to the ground. She woke up with, furniture on top of her. She couldn't move. There was water rushing over her. She thought she was gonna die. And she finally got the stuff off of her. She had a head injury, and she got out of the house. And then by the time she got out, her neighbors were beating on the windows and stuff, and they come around and seen her sitting on a tree. And she got a pretty bad head injury from it, and she wasn't getting any help. FEMA denied her, they said your insurance will cover it. And then her insurance denied her, and they said, you don't have landslide insurance. So she took her her denial letter back to FEMA, and she ended up getting, I think, $35,000 from FEMA, but that's still not gonna help everything. You can kind of see it behind her. It was her shed, kind of a little barn thing. And one of the gentlemen that come up started helping, he was one of Wayne's viewers. His name's Tony Davidson from Texas. He's a builder. He is still in Burnsville. He's been there since October. And he was framing in that barn for her so she could live in it. And at that time, she was living in a fifth wheel in her neighbor's yard. And he's gone home a couple times. He's got a ranch or something, but he has become the Baptist group. It's called Carpenter's Hands that goes around and does construction. He is like the area foreman now like he's the project manager for help that group up in the Burnsville area. So he's the one that contacted me about coming to do a video with her to try to get her some help. And we reached out to our congressman after this video, and she did get some help after this. Go ahead. Hi, it's Appalachian Navy again. I am here with Gala.
Mm-hmm.
What's this area called?
Burnsville,
but we're on
Bowlins Creek Road.
Off of Pensacola. This is actually my first time being in this area, and I was contacted by some people that Gala is needing help. And if you would you tell us a little bit about what happened to your house? It'll be your story.
Okay, so right up here is our landslide. The debris hit my house and went into my neighbors' properties below. Mud, filled people's garages, caused lots of damage, injured people. But this is what it did to my house. Behind us.
The structured motorized pergola system is reinventing the way home.
So your house was actually
It was
back over here.
over here somewhere.
Shifted about 50
And now it's sitting in the front yard that sloped down and the driveway and into part of the easement.
So your house was about, just so they can see, was about where that oil tank is, and it shifted about 50 feet to where it is now.
And pivoted a little because it was facing front on with the cow pasture. Now it's kind of facing a different direction.
And where were you at in the house?
I was near the front door on the other side of the house.
So when I guess that tree amongst other stuff hit your house, it obviously knocked you to the floor.
Actually, I knew something was fixing to happen, so I threw myself in the floor and curled up to cover my head and as small as possible. And then I heard a really loud snap, like a board snap, but it was really loud. It was either the wall being knocked down that I heard, or trees hitting and knocking the wall down. And then it just was very loud. I knew I was moving, but it just kind of felt like I was being shaken. And then when it stopped, I was no longer in my little ball with my head facing the door. I was laying with my head facing the opposite direction, laying on my side. And I looked up and my kitchen table was over me, which had previously been several feet away from me on the far wall, and my legs were in, it was a high table, my legs were in one of the chairs. I have no idea how that happened. I don't remember being turned around and getting in a chair that was previously up ahead of me. And then I was stuck in the chair, couldn't get out. I realized there was a couch or a big heavy chair behind me. I couldn't push it. I couldn't move the table because all the attic boards and the wall boards and the ceiling were on that table. I couldn't push it. And in my reach was a piece of tree. And I thought, oh, how did a piece of tree get in here? But I used it as a lever, and it took quite a few attempts of me giving up and saying, oh, somebody will come get me. And then I thought, maybe they won't. Maybe there's gonna be more trees hitting this house. I gotta get out of here. I gave up a couple of times, and then the second time I gave up, I felt some very cold water on my rear quarters, and I lifted up to see what was going on, and orange water was rising, and I was like, I don't want to drown. So I got going again with my lever, and got out, and had crawled uphill. I was uphill and got out through this end of the house. I came over that bed and got on that tree there, and some neighbors came after it was over, sometime afternoon. Some neighbors came and found me sitting there.
So how long was it before the first help came, like fire department or anything like that?
Oh. Well,
Or any kind of aid?
the neighbors were there immediately.
Mhm.
Like it seemed, it was about noon when the clouds started parting, and I couldn't hear anybody because the creek was so loud and so big. But apparently there was a lot of people out here. I just didn't know it. And in fact, they told me they were yelling, beating on my front windows, yelling to see if somebody was in the house, but I didn't hear them. They walked around the corner and found me. But the neighbors were out immediately on their ATVs and with their tractors, helping people, looking for people. And that's all we saw for a while. And the volunteer fire department people that are in Pensacola.
Okay. So the other thing we were going to talk about is, so what's been your situation with Foxtrot, Echo, Mike, Alpha, and your insurance? So
I was first able to get a cell signal the 1st of October, I think, and I put my application in that day. It's now the 23rd December. I've been denied 6 times maybe so far. I just keep going in and editing. I go in face to face, help me with this. I'm not doing something wrong, and edit it, and then I get my next denial letter. But insurance within that first week, they said you have to attach your denial letter from your insurance as part of the process. And I did that within that first week and got my denial letter. They told me nothing was covered because it was a flood. And I said, well, I wasn't in a flood. I was hit by a tree. Trees took my house down, or maybe mud took my house down, and they said, well, the trees came down and the mud came down because of rain, therefore it's a flood.
No. Little comedy.
Rejection from my application says I'm denied because my insurance is gonna pay the total thing, you know.
You're not.
I've attached the denial letter, so it's just been real frustrating. Just need to get to the right person to help me do the application correctly, however that is.
So what kind of help are you needing? Are you needing legal help or?
Well, at this point, I think so, and then I heard there's a deadline coming up, and that's making me even more nervous, and that might be accurate, it might be.
I heard there is a January deadline for FEMA. I don't know if it's just an initial submission or if you've obviously got a process started. So I don't know if that includes you, but I would definitely make sure that you're okay. I guess if there's anyone that knows of a legal avenue that we can help her, if you could reach out to me about that, I would get the information to her. I told you earlier, we have contacted the Congressman's office and state representatives, so hopefully they'll be here. They'll reach out to you soon and we'll get some help coming.
You know, another concern that my neighbors have, because they were greatly affected by this, is we don't know the stability of our landslide, and
well, it doesn't look.
We need an expert
stable.
To check it out and tell us, you know, something.
Has there been a geologist up here?
No.
So there is a geologist I've seen on YouTube that he's been all over the place mapping
Geomodels or something?
I think so. He's got like this thermal scan of all these landslide areas. And, we need to look into contacting him.
Yeah, everybody needs some peace of mind, and if it's not stable, what can we do and how do we do that? Is, you know, the state owns the property up at the top. My neighbor behind me owns a section of it, and then I was this side of the forest.
So was there somebody else that lived up there?
No one lives there, but they had a barn. There's another landslide over there, and it took his barn.
So that landslide went from up there, and then it went all the way down across the road into the river down there.
And it looked like some of the trees that moved around and cut out a bit, like it came down in a quarter. So it went this way and then it was long.
So instead of a full force.
Yeah, it came down and it kind of branched into
Her
the
house
south line.
diverted the thing and kind of helped some other people. John's place, he thought it would hit his house, and so would Kyle, except it got diverted. If it wasn't diverted, it had probably gone right across several other people's houses.
And they said when the land came up, it uncovered 2 or 3 springs that were previously underground. And I think they're still trickling, the springs.
Well, I imagine they are.
You know, do we need to divert that water? Do we need a culvert? You know, what do we need?
Okay. Well,
What she needs now is Yancey County, whatever people to come out, how to get this house moved and cleaned up so it doesn't fall on the road, other issues like that. You know, somebody in charge needs to come out and evaluate this, whether it's county, city, whatever. Just some help, somebody, excavators that can come and donate the truck, and let her just start removing trees so she can get that so it doesn't fall on the road. That's my
All right, everybody. So if you have any suggestions, or if you think you know anyone that could help, just email me. My email's in the description as usual. Thank you. All right, so this one is the B-Log Relief Center. This is one of the bigger relief centers we've been helping. think some of y'all went with me on this trip.
Hello everybody, Appalachian Navy. We're here at B-Log Elementary School again with Chrissy.
Hey, everybody.
Y'all remember her from about a month ago. We were talking to her about Operation Christmas or whatever it was called. But that went really good. We brought her today a bunch of propane. That's really the big need up here right now is propane heaters and stuff. Can you tell us about how things are going for the people up here?
Everything's going pretty good. Everybody's been nice enough to get what we need pretty much. The only stuff we need now is like little odds and ends stuff. But the major stuff we've been really good about. Everybody has got pretty much what they need. If not, then, you know, they come down here and get it. Of course, I keep trying to tell them to stock up for the winter.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, last night the wind was so hard, you know, all of our electricity went out around here again. So there we were hitting the generators. So, yeah, we need.
Yeah, I was telling you earlier, we've lost power at our house 3 times in the last couple of weeks, and it's just from, you know, there's a lot of trees out there dangling precariously, and that wind starts up, and there they go and hit the lines.
Right.
What's your, y'all have any specific needs that you aren't getting enough of? Or?
Other than tuna and chicken, canned meat. I mean, we're good on tuna and chicken. People are wanting like sardines, beanie weenies, Vienna sausages, that stuff we don't have, which we need.
Okay.
Would be great to, we did get a good load of Spam, although it'll go fast.
Yeah.
Paper products, paper towels, toilet paper, paper plates, stuff like that. We need kerosene.
Kerosene?
Yeah, we need kerosene for sure.
I think we might have a little bit. It's those jugs of K1 fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll try to bring that next trip.
Okay.
But what about volunteers? Are y'all?
Oh, we need volunteers.
Do y'all have a website for?
No, we
sign up or
don't.
just show up or?
Yeah, either that or go on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. Just send me a message. But yeah.
Where are you at on Facebook? Is it big?
Just my name.
What's your?
Chrissy Atkins.
Okay.
On Facebook. Our hours right now are Monday and Tuesday 12 to 5 and Friday and Saturday 12 to 5.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go, folks. If you're interested in helping, those are what's needed here. And
I look like Rudolph.
yeah, it's cold up here. It's about 24 degrees right now.
And it's cold in the building, so if you come to volunteer, dress warm.
Yeah, it's cold in here. I'll have my email in the description, and I'll try to put a link to her Facebook in the description so y'all can reach out to her.
This video was with Ball Creek, and I pulled this one up just because Pastor Tim's in this one, so we'll get y'all a little shot with Pastor Tim.
Hey everybody, we're here at Ball Creek with Katie.
Hey y'all.
We got Pastor Tim and Jan here today. We're on tour. It's very rainy today. On the way up here, it was pouring rain from Hendersonville all the way to Asheville, and French Broad River's they were close to the top of the bank. So
yeah, things are flooding again. Unfortunately, it's been kind of the past couple of days of deja vu all over again watching this rain.
Yeah, I've talked to some people up in Bakersville this week, and I know some of them haven't slept hardly in 3 or 4 days. Some of them will have power now and again. So we swapped out 113 propane cylinders for them. There's still a few laying around out there, but that's a lot. But that's going to save y'all.
Thankful for it.
You're welcome. That's going to save y'all a lot of money for.
It's going to save us a whole lot of money for propane and a whole lot of time too. It's amazing that you guys just come in and swap me out super fast. I can't thank you enough for that.
No, you're welcome.
And I always miscount.
Oh, I do too, I'm always like, it gets chaotic, and there's bottles flying everywhere. So we were talking about needs. Can you tell everybody what the need is that we were just talking about?
We need newborn diapers, size 7s and 8 diapers. Those are the only diaper sizes we need though. We need shampoo, conditioner, body wash, lotion, mouthwash, paper towels, toilet paper, paper plates, paper bowls.
Utensils.
Yeah, we're actually pretty good on utensils right now, but the paper products themselves go super fast, and especially if you are living in a camper or you don't have power, you're not really washing dishes, so you're going through those paper plates for every meal.
Y'all have your own Amazon wish list, don't you?
We do have an Amazon wish list. You can actually find our needs list at baldcreekrelief.org. That is our website, and you can find our needs list on there, how to donate. We're actually have a campaign to try to purchase our building and create the Southern Appalachia Community Center. So please support us in that as well.
And media presence.
Yes, we need media presence too. So tell everybody and share this far and wide.
Yeah.
Far and wide.
I'm trying to. I was telling people in an earlier video last week, I was in Mobile, Alabama, and people I work with from Utah and Texas, some of them knew about it, and some of them were like, oh, we haven't heard anything about that in a long time. I'm like,
Well, I don't care what people say, it's not there yet.
No.
It's not there yet.
It's
very needy, so don't hesitate to give this young lady some funds if you got them, because they can use them in a bad way.
Thank you.
all right, well, we're gonna head back out in this cold, wet weather and head to the next stop. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Last one, this is my, this is Colton right here, this is, Cry. So when I first met him, I was saying he started a relief center in, Bakersville. It was in his uncle's abandoned hardware store. The building had been abandoned for about 10 years, and his uncle let him go in there and, start serving the community. But then he found, so this place here is another old general store in the mountains. It's actually just over the hill from where he lives, and it was more centralized to the people he was trying to help. So we moved everything to this location, and it needed a lot of work. It was pretty rough. And but the hardware store was just getting where it was right on the main road, and you felt like a lot of people were just, that may or may not have really needed the help, or just come in there and get what they could get. But and people from all over. But now he's in a place where he's helping his community. It's called the Community of Poplar, and he's still just as busy. He's got machinery now that he's going around fixing people's bridges and cleaning out their creeks. And I didn't play the video, but there's a group, a couple of guys from Ohio that started an organization called Day 41 Disaster. And Day 41 stands for, there's several disasters talked about in the Bible that were 40 days. And so they're representing the day after those 40-day disasters. And they're very good, two really wonderful Christian families, and they've made several trips down to help Colton in particular. And the last trip they made was the week of Memorial Day. They were coming down to work on a bridge. He brought one gentleman, his name's Cody. He had a dually with 30-foot gooseneck. He had a bobcat on it, 2 big concrete pylons and a bunch of beams. And he came down Highway 197 from Irwin, Tennessee into Poplar there. And the road's really steep and curvy. And he said it was about 11 o'clock at night. His trailer brakes went out, and then it pretty much boiled his truck brakes. And the very last curve, he went over the guardrail and went over a 100-foot cliff with his 2 little boys in the truck. And they luckily flipped over and landed about 20 foot down the bank against some trees. The trailer and all that went flying out in the cow pasture, and he got his boys out and with some broke ribs, and they climbed back up the bank, and his wife and the rest of his kids were behind him in their car. And they went to the hospital. Anyway, they're all okay, and I went up there that weekend about 3 times, helping clean all of it up and get it moved, and we didn't get to finish the bridge, but we got all the materials to the bridge site, so Colton was supposed to be helping those people fix that bridge. But I just wanted to mention that was another group that formed out of watching Wayne's videos and my videos. That's been really instrumental in helping people. Go ahead.
Hey everybody, we're out here at Cry at their new location, and we're in Poplar, right? Poplar. We're here with everybody's favorite Colton. We got Cody running around doing all the work. We're out here talking. But yeah, this is the new store. They're having their grand opening spaghetti dinner and fundraiser, so we stopped by, brought them some propane, and ate some spaghetti. So, what do you want to talk about your new store here?
Some things has changed from Red Hill. We added a community prayer board, and then we're going to be doing a little bit more fundraising just to kind of keep funds coming in for these trips and to keep us stocked up and everything. Other than that, we're still the same. We're still doing propane exchanges, deliveries, all that. Our 24-hour number's still going. The website and all that's still going. So not much has changed, but there is some change. I want to let everybody know that if you need a Bible, we've got like 300 to 400 now. So we've got plenty of those. So if you need those, just reach out.
We got more when you're running it.
Oh gosh. But that's about it. I mean, we can go inside.
You want to go and show them,
Yeah.
see a little bit of the store?
Yeah.
What did this place used to be?
It used to be like a general store and a gas station.
Okay.
So they had gas pumps outside. And I've got a picture I can show of the man that owned it. So this is our little store here. So this is part of the fundraisers up here, snacks and stuff we're selling for fundraisers. Here's our Bibles. Still got free food. Do what? Yeah, those are free. Everything in here is free other than this stuff. Got a bunch of stuff up here. Medicine. We've got clothes in the back, brand new shoes, blankets, all the canned foods on the back wall. It's a little crazy.
Now, all this stuff comes from
The wish list.
the Amazon wish list y'all been supporting, so they appreciate that.
So all that and most of the cleaning supplies come in the toilet paper. So,
So it's working, folks.
It's working. It's good. Today's the first day that we've been open in the new location, and we've seen a lot of people today. A lot of people. Parking's still an issue, but we're working on that. But right here,
I'm taking up half of it.
right here's the man that used to own it. So if you want to show them that, if they can see it. So that's the man that used to own
So
it.
who was it we met? Me and Phil met somebody down there at Whitson's that said this was his either uncle or dad or something.
I'm not sure. There's a lot. Most of them live right in this area. I'm not sure.
What did he say that was his uncle?
Yeah, I don't remember.
He was the guy helping us haul in bottles.
Oh, okay, the older guy.
Yeah.
The older guy.
But I'm not sure exactly who it is. I know who you're talking about. I've seen them around, but I don't know exactly who. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, folks. So we're just chit chatting now. Thank you. Just reach out to me if you want to help.
Yep.
And again, these centers have been very instrumental, and Cry, it would have never got started if it wasn't for the efforts that Midway and the other churches were a big part of, and that's all I have. So I've said all I can say. And, if anybody's got any questions, I guess we're going to go over there and eat dinner. So I'll see you over there. Thank you. Oh, and I do have, there's a few of these decals up here for my group, Appalachian Navy, and if anybody wants one, I've got plenty. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and go to the Lord in prayer. Again, we're thankful to have Bud and his family with us, and also just thankful for what him and Wayne and so many others have done and still doing as far as to help so many people in the western part of the state and also surrounding areas. So very thankful to have them with us, and please keep them in your prayers if you would. But we're gonna go ahead and go to the Lord in prayer. We're going ahead and bless our food too. That way when you go over there, you can go ahead and eat. Thank all the people who also prepare the meal and everything for us across the road. If you have any questions, you can ask Bud across the road. You know, if you have any questions about the mountain relief and everything. Sister Patsy, would you mind please close us in prayer, please, and bless the food? Thank you.